Hello. Today I want to reflect on something interesting about people who don't have kids and if they have any stakes in the future. Do they care for the future in a way that we people with kids, parents care for the future, because we already invested part of us into our future through our genes, through our efforts, through our other investments, especially women, right? We and there are different women, and we will talk about this. Why I got interested in this topic, because recently I posted another video about Askell, who is ethical developer or developer of clothes ethics or character. And what's special about her, she is the main person who is responsible for developing this AI chatbot character. And of course you understand that AI is not only chatbots, but yet still why it's important for us humans, because it's like interface or a program that we communicate through. So it's very important how this program interface chatbot is built and what are the settings. And it's not just the settings, right? It's the settings of the character. It's kind of personality already. And I read recently that persona is from Latin or Greek, I don't remember Greek, probably persona, like through sound. And it was kind of a mask for actors from those times. So they delivered the characters in the play through these masks with a kind of enhanced sound, as I understand. So this special mask was called persona, and now we create personalities, which is the way we communicate with the world. And in this case with Claude, basically she's developing a personality for this technology or interface or whatever, chatbot. And it's interesting that other AI developers, other AI companies creating their chatbots in more democratic way, that everybody can feed their chatbots. They feed themselves from internet, from books, from many sources of information, but there is no one unique source, like no centralized source. It just they get their limitations and guardrails from this company. It's like safety guardrails, but the information is very from everywhere. It's kind of democratized development. But for Claude, there's a specific way of this woman develops based on whatever. She is a philosophy major, PhD, philosophy doctor. So in collaboration with the company, she develops the personality. It's interesting in a way that it's a centralized process. It's more controlled, more intentional, more purpose-driven. And it's kind of open because we can read the purposes. It's out there, it's on internet. You can read and you can trust or not trust that they do whatever they say they do. So that's the way. But the comment from Elon Musk was that she doesn't have kids, so she doesn't have a stake in the future. And like I have kids, I have 2 daughters, and with everything that happens in US, we live in USA, well, I have to know more than I would be comfortable to know for a happy life, put this way. Especially for women, daughters, girls. Not very comfortable reality here, right? A lot of fight for your right, for our rights. And saying to a woman without kids that she doesn't have stake in the future in these conditions, that men and the whole society didn't create conditions comfortable and nurturing and safe for women to have kids. Like, what's that, man? What's that? How can you say? If you unfold the conditions more, you understand as a parent that there are different kind of parents, especially me as a life coach for parents. I do parenting coaching, I do relationships coaching. I have those stories every day from my online coaching. Like, stories come to me, I see problems, I help my clients to deal with them, not always resolve them, but deal them, like live with those problems, with those traumas, with those conditions that we live there. And I know that parents can destroy humans. Parents can be sexual abusers. Parents can sell their children into human trafficking and all the rest. So, do those parents have stake in the future? Why do they do what they do? So, this argument is not quite clear-cut. If you're a parent, you have a stake in the future. What kind of stake in the future did you have kids just because you had to have for the status? Those women who have kids from rich men for money and status and kind of stability of their own situation, do they have stake in the future? What kind of parenting can they provide if they have many nannies? And do they, like, I wonder if a woman didn't give birth naturally, didn't invest in 9 months of feeling differently, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's like really bad pregnancy, then giving a birth quite an experience. And here giving a birth, I just read in a book that in Christianity a woman is supposed to have a painful birth, given a birth process. Why? Listen, because it's because she had too much fun making babies, like intercourse, too much fun, nothing about the guy, nothing. Like, what's that? Are we supposed to have pain for being a mother, creating a human being? Recently, of course, we went back to more primitive times when women gave birth in the fields. They didn't have that psychological build up and conditioning, and it was meant the process was more natural and less painful. They owned it. It was part of being a mother, a strong woman. Now it's like going back for some women, and they give birth almost painlessly, and it's not pain, it's tension and relaxation. Tension, relaxation, there's no pain. So you can deal with tension. So there's a change for many women. But if you're like in this crazy religious mindset, you will like, yeah, I have to give birth and this should be painful because I'm a woman. Like, what the hell? Anyway, so pregnancy investment. given a bit investment, then if you're a real parent, like real parent without nannies, right? If you are not like high achiever for my own goals and there are children nearby with nannies, do those women sleep with their children when there's sleepless nights and you cannot function properly in the morning because you couldn't sleep properly? When they are sick, do they care for them all the time, like 100% of time? Do they invest that much when they are given money from their rich husbands, when they have more higher priorities at their jobs, projects, because so many people are dependent on their projects? And there's two human beings with nannies, and their mothers and fathers become godmothers and godfathers for them, because attachment needs to be built on time spent and interest paid, attention paid to this little human being. So saying those things on what basis? Like, what's your experience, man? Another thing that I think very important for this person who work with AI or our future, building our future, and doesn't have kids, attachment to this new technology. If you have kids, you are more attached to your kids, and then you have a clear boundary that this is the real human being attachment. You can feel it, and this is your product, this is your technology that you're training, and you know the difference. When you don't have experience, feeling, and embodiment of the human connection and attachment, and it's quite deep, right? When you interact 100% with your baby, especially first several months, first year, then you don't know what's a real attachment is, and then there is a risk. I'm not saying that Amanda has this kind of attachment, but there is a risk to create attachment to your product, to your project, especially this developed. And when you invest so much time, passion, interest, I understand it. I could be attached, I understand, but I have my kids. That's their future. I care about their future. I care about my own future through the prisms of their abilities, their futures. And I have my own future without them, of course. But if you don't have this comparison with real attachment to real human beings, and your investment already kind of committed to them, then there is a real risk, psychological, physical attachment to the project or product, and then a development of a different attitude than to machine intelligence or machine, and then a risk of anthropomorphizing, like seeing it as a human being without necessary human properties that you can see in babies, you can see in children, how they develop and how differently they develop, how you learn from each your child, how they are unique. You cannot apply the same set of rules to each person. That's I learned from my friends who had three kids, and they like so different people, so different kids. You learn from the beginning each time. You kind of cannot bring the past experience to your mother. You can get stronger, you can be more peaceful in a way that there is no anxiety, what should I do now? No, you're a mother already, and you apply a lot of skills already, but yet every time is a new person, unique person, becoming like brought into the world, out of the world. So here are the two things. I don't agree that Amanda or whoever kind of solo brings the personality of AI, whatever, chatbot or whatever, she can bring a lot. Those people who work with human trafficking, child abuse trafficking, and they don't have kids, do you think they cannot help? They have stake in their future and the future of those kids who they protect, who they save. In many cases, I believe they save those kids without being parents themselves, because they have something in their past that was very painful for them as kids. So they heal themselves by helping other kids now without being parents. That happens. That's very powerful self-healing, by helping other kids. You heal your inner child by helping other kids. I heal my inner child by doing or giving those things that I wasn't given by my parents. That works. That works perfectly. But we used to say I Google it. Now I say I Claude it. I asked Claude if there were, well, I asked Claude if Pam Bondi, she doesn't have kids. She's a general attorney of US, and she's quite controversial in a case with Epstein files. And I wondered her previous human trafficking awards or job. I asked Claude, was she a protector or provider of those kids to human trafficking? And the Claude, no evidence, But then I asked, were there cases in USA history that people who were responsible for protecting children from human trafficking and child abuse, were there cases when those people were on the other side of the fence and they were actually human traffickers and abusers? And there are a list of cases in US history, recent history, a couple of cases in Texas where the biggest, I think, not from personal, there are 3 of personal, like judge and probation officer was having his own human trafficking circle, because the judge was paid for her kind of help of prosecuting youth to a higher degree of prosecution for very minor deeds. So the youth were so vulnerable in those camps and facilities for correction facilities, that they were broken, and committed suicide later in life. They were so displaced from normal life. There is no protection of youth in those cases. And there was a case where there was some camp or something, care for those kids from foster parenting. Storage law. Probably I will end here. So there are cases that people who are supposed to protect kids are not doing that. They help to harm them. Do they have kids or not? That's another story. But yeah, so there's not argument, but the attachment argument, I think, quite strong, and we can research it more.